agree with you. I mean, the PDP considers itself still a major party in this country. I don't know if you know, for instance, that the PDP is now openly wooing the likes of Peter Obi to return to their fold. And given that the PDP, as we mentioned earlier, still has reasonably solid structures across this country, several governorships under its belt, I mean, do you agree that that could well be a more attractive prospect for Peter Obi than the ADC coalition, which has so far been unable to attract a single governor to the fold?
Let me say clearly that Peter Obi is in the coalition, regardless of what anybody else is saying. But it is good to see that it has taken the coming on board of ADC to get PDP to begin to make some movements. But everyone knows that the jugular of PDP is still in the hands of the ruling party. Everyone knows that. Peter Obi, more than anyone else, knows that he cannot take the risk of going to the PDP because...
So ever since this opposition coalition adapt or unveiled ADC as the platform they're going to use to contest the election in 2027, a lot of people have been asking like too many questions, like what is their ideology? Why are they trying to unseat Tinubu in 2027? And what are they going to do for Nigerians, you know? And also the involvement of Peter Obi, because according to the news circulating everywhere, they say that Peter Obi is no longer interested in this ADC because of one thing or the other, right? But in this video, the spokesperson of ADC has cleared the air and also tell Nigerians like what they are trying to do, the reason why they want to unseat Tinubu in 2027. Because it seems now that this ADC is just for the Northerners, right? So let me allow you guys to listen and hear everything that he said in this particular interview.
So just tell us more about this debt spiral of the Tinubu government that has the opposition ADC coalition so concerned about its potential shattering impact on the future of this country.
Thank you very much. In the public sector, how do government make money? You make money either by generating revenue or by borrowing. So there is nothing fundamentally wrong with government borrowing money for the purpose of increasing productivity, for promoting the economy and all that. But what we have seen here is a consistent addiction, what appears to be an addiction to borrowing. It's like every agency, every multilateral agency, every organizations of government anywhere in the world that has a loan to give, Nigeria is ready to take that loan. They'll tell you it's cheap loan. They'll tell you the repayment is long term. But in the end, what we fail to see is what these loans are actually used for, especially when the future generation of Nigerians will be the ones to pay this loan or to repay these loans. The minimum we expect is that if you are going to put the burden on the future generation, the future generations should see the benefit of what you've used the loan for. So what ADC is saying, that taking loans cannot just be your default or your instinctive solution to whatever fiscal problems that you have, especially when the fiscal crisis you have found yourself is self-inflicted, because the previous loans you've taken, we've not seen what you've used it for. So ADC's concern is that, especially when we have a National Assembly that does appear ever willing to oblige the president whenever he makes such demands on them, it's a big concern that I'm not an economist, but so many people have come out who are experts on this matter who have also weighed in similarly.
Very interesting. So I mean, there are two things here. One of them is that the ADC is clearly now coming out with all guns blazing and really trying to play the role and fill that space of the opposition in this country.
Absolutely, and I'm delighted to say that one of the things ADC can claim to have achieved within the short time that we have come into existence, less than a month, is to have dismantled that suffocating culture of silence. Before ADC came about, it looked like government was able to get away with anything. All the political parties that ought to play the role of opposition to ask questions were either willingly abdicating the responsibilities that they have as opposition party, or because of the existential crisis they faced, are unable to play that role. And I must say that that's one of the immediate inspiration for the kind of party that we are trying to build. That Nigeria is too important, too big, and too many people have paid so much for democracy for us to allow our country to descend into a one-party rule. And I believe that the journey is long, but for us in the ADC, we recognize that the most important role we have to play, and that's why we keep saying that it's not just about 2027, because there's a tendency to reduce what we are doing to just wanting to take power in 2027. Yes, of course we do, but it's fundamentally more than that. And asking the kind of questions we've been asking is one of the roles we have assigned for ourselves.
Indeed, but it is obviously an important role to play, as you said, filling that opposition space. But it's much easier, isn't it, to criticize from
Absolutely.
the outside. I mean, what would you do differently to improve the finances of this country if the ADC coalition was in office today? What would you have done, given what has happened in the last few years? I mean, however much you blame the APC for the last 10 years, and let's face it, they've been in office for 10 years, but you've had different leaders driving the trajectory of this country. And we know that in this country, when one leader is in office, it's much less likely that anybody else is going to try and even criticize them if they're in the same party or you know. What would you do differently to improve the finances of this country if the ADC was in office today? What would you have done now after 2 years in office?
Well, we have not been in office at all. So
I mean, that's why I'm saying
I don't want to give
it's not just to criticize, you have to offer solutions.
I also don't want to give you my personal opinion.
Right.
But what I can tell you is that
I don't mean you in particular.
Yeah, I understand
the spokesman of the ADC.
So whatever the important point here is that whatever this government is doing, regardless of the intentions behind it, is not working. That is very important. And one of the things they did from the start was to combine the removal of fuel subsidy with the devaluation of the naira. Combining these two policies or interventions has had catastrophic consequences on the livelihood of the people. And for ADC, this is the most important point. Whatever we do, what consequence will it have on the livelihood of the people, on the quality of lives of the people? Now you can bring economics into the room to begin to debate what options exist. But the fundamental, where you draw the line, the basic minimum, is what implication will it have for the people?
I think a lot of people would agree, but you also have to, I think, keep in mind that there are two things here. One of them, which obviously you consider to be paramount, is the impact of policies on the Nigerian people.
Absolutely.
The other one is the impact of policies on people you're trying to attract into Nigeria to invest in the country in order to improve the lives of the Nigerian people.
Absolutely.
And all those people, almost without exception, have commended the Tinubu government for the policies that they've taken so far.
But we've also seen reports by the IMF saying that this devaluation you are pursuing, we didn't expect you to go this far. Because I remember only a few weeks ago, a special advisor in this government came out and was condemning IMF for approbating and reprobating at the same time. Saying like, what exactly do you want us to do? You advised us to do this, now you are the one saying that the outcome of what we are doing is hurting the people. So the question, Charles, is that, number one, who exactly is deciding the direction of the economy of Nigeria? Is it the people that Nigerians voted for, or some global organization somewhere that they didn't have the mandate of Nigerians? Now, this is a very critical question, because even if IMF or the World Bank or any such institutions that we like to hold accountable or responsible are the ones advising you, the primary question you should be asking yourself as someone who holds the mandate on behalf of the Nigerian people is, how will this help my people? How will this hurt my people? If it's going to hurt them in the immediate, the two questions you should be asking yourself: number one, what safety nets am I able to provide to cushion the effect on the people? And two, for how long will they need to suffer before they begin to see the results?
That's a legitimate.
So these are the two questions that we are.
That's a legitimate point. Let me move slightly away from the economy and sort of the focus on the APC, and turn the focus on the ADC. Because the APC, as well as the PDP, almost united in raising what many observers see as legitimate points about the ADC coalition and the fact that it has too many competing politicians, Atiku, Obi, El Rufai, Amechi, etc., vying for the top position, and that this is a web of political intrigue and divisions that is simply too delicate to hold together. Do you see the points there?
Why are they concerned about that? We should be concerned about that. That's our problem, right? If you have people like that who want to aspire for the same position in our party, we should be the one having sleepless nights about how to resolve these issues among them. But why is the APC concerned on our behalf?
Well, because you're an opponent.
Yeah, we are an opponent, but this is our internal problem.
They're not concerned for you in a positive way, saying, oh dear, get your house together. No. They're saying that they're gleefully rubbing their hands together and using that as a criticism against you, that you're not going to be any really strong force because already your energies are going to be dissipated because of all these competing forces.
That's what they see. That's what they see. But what we are saying is that our party is 1 month old. We are not having any conversation about who will be the flag bearer of the party at the moment. We are preoccupied with developing our party, with building the structures and putting in place the necessary systems that will prove that will show Nigerians or convince Nigerians that we are truly indeed a democratic party and an opposition party ready to take power in 2027. Now, the question of who becomes the flag bearer of the party is a question that we'll answer down the line, and we are going to do so in a very transparent and democratic ways. And we said we have two options. One option is to try to engineer some consensus. If we are not able to do that, we go to primaries, and whoever emerges, the party will back. So when they look at this, they say it's like a prophecy of doom to say, oh, don't worry, give them time, they are going to start fight. They've been saying this from day one. But I can assure you that we are conscious of the challenges that we face as a budding political party, and we are well equipped to deal with our internal issues.
But what do you say to those who say that the people in the ADC have their names? I mean, you have a lot of names that are recognizable, but having left the PDP or the APC, they didn't leave with the party structures. So if you look at the PDP states that have governors, the structures are intact in those states, whereas you guys are building new infrastructure, you're renting new offices, you're hiring new hands, etc. How much does that make a substantial difference from the ward level upwards?
You see, when we talk about structures, and Peter Obi showed us in the last election that it's not just about physical structure, it's about the people. What people do you have? What quality of people, what quality of representation do you have at all levels of the party, whether at the polling unit level, at the ward level, at the zonal level, and at the state level, and at the national level? So when you have one person, for example, able to stand for the party at the polling unit level, that one person can bring 20 people, and those 20 people can bring 10 people. So we are trying to build a party that is sufficiently able to mobilize Nigerians to see the ADC as the only alternative to the ruling party. So what we are doing is building a movement of Nigerians who are dissatisfied with the current government enough to say, look, the other parties have been compromised And this is the only alternative at the moment to the ruling party. Yes, the point you make about us trying to set up offices, trying to build these systems and all that, those are there. But we don't think in any way undermine our capacity as a fighting force for the election in 2027.
But people like the PDP don't agree with you. I mean, the PDP considers itself still a major party in this country. I don't know if you know, for instance, that the PDP is now openly wooing the likes of Peter Obi to return to their fold. And given that the PDP, as we mentioned earlier, still has reasonably solid structures across this country, several governorships under its belt, I mean, do you agree that that could well be a more attractive prospect for Peter Obi than the ADC coalition, which has so far been unable to attract a single governor to the fold?
Let me say clearly that Peter Obi is in the coalition, regardless of what anybody else is saying. But it is good to see that it has taken the coming on board of ADC to get PDP to begin to make some movements. But everyone knows that the jugular of PDP is still in the hands of the ruling party. Everyone knows that. Peter Obi, more than anyone else, knows that he cannot take the risk of going to the PDP, because PDP, and I'll give you an example. When the governor of, the former governor of Delta, Okowa, left PDP to join the APC, who welcomed him in the APC? Minister of Federal Capital Territory, Wike, that is presumably still in the PDP, right? You see PDP governors leaving their parties every day to join the ruling party. You hear PDP governors endorsing President Tinubu as their preferred candidate for 2027. You see PDP bigwigs saying that they no longer believe in this party because they believe that the party has been compromised. So, but like I said, it probably requires ADC to come on board to get PDP to begin to make some movements. But everyone knows in this country today, you can conduct a poll. Ask Nigerians, which party do they recognize as the de facto opposition party? I have no doubt in my mind that the answer will be ADC.
Well, I mean, obviously, other people would
without saying that they are not an important party. This is a party with history. The historical legacy of PDP will be difficult to erase or even replicate. But it is also the tragedy of our recent democracy that PDP has been reduced to what it has become.
Well, I mean, the impression was always given that this new ADC coalition would bring every bit of the opposition together. I mean, that was the whole idea. Maybe people are thinking of, the way the APC came together or whatever. Maybe you're doing it differently. But certainly that was the impression people had, that it would be welded together into some sort of movement. And you've used the term movement here. That would include not just individuals, but political parties, elected politicians, etc. But so far, what we're essentially seeing is just another political party.
I think you people trying to compare ADC with the APC are probably comparing apples with oranges. APC in 2014 was a product of political strategy. How do we defeat the ruling party? And the answer was clear. The only way you could defeat PDP at the time was for different opposition parties to come together. So it was a consequence of a deliberate political strategy to take power in 2014, 2015. Now, ADC is not the same. ADC is a product of necessity. Like I said earlier, many political leaders in the opposition party has found themselves in a strange situation where they cannot even recognize their parties anymore, either by their own self-inflicted internal contradiction or by official machinations of government. These parties were no longer able to provide a platform for a wide array of political leaders. And now the question is, so what do we do if we are not able to run on the platform of our political party? Don't forget that the challenges in this party is who controls the leadership, who controls the party machinery, who is in charge of this party. Now, having been unable to answer those questions, the only alternative left is for people who are convinced that this party is no longer viable as a platform, a political platform, to seek alternative. That's when the various leaders across the different parties begin to have conversation and that's why the word coalition did not happen in the respect to APC. What we had was merger. But in this case, we are talking of a coalition of different political leaders coming together to form a new political party.
Well, I mean, I think everybody, I mean, you have a point there. I mean, everybody would agree that at the moment with the APC, there is no question about who is in the driver's seat, and that is, of course, President Tinubu. There's no dispute about who's going to be the leader or who isn't. But that does not mean, as I said, in fairness to the point that you're making, that the party is completely united. Because, for instance, we heard today that members of the ANPP bloc in the APC have warned President Tinubu not to tamper with the vice president's seat in the run-up to 2027, or the bloc will leave the party. They're also complaining about marginalization and the lack of inclusivity. I mean, I expect that's music to your ears. I mean, those kinds of divisions.
Yeah, of course, it's if we want to look at it strictly in political terms. But you see, for us in ADC, we want all political parties to be strong because our commitment is to democratic survival of Nigeria. Nigeria's democracy cannot be strong if one political party is dominant. ADC does not desire one dominant political party system. ADC desires a multi-party, liberal, democratic system. So we want ADC to be in good health. We want PDP to be in good health. We want APC to be in good health. And when we criticize APC, it's because we want them to do better. If they are not able to do better, Nigerians are able to say, hang on, these people are not doing what we want them to do. Now, this is alternative.
And as far as you're concerned, they're not doing well.
No, of course. This is the consensus.
Okay.
This is the consensus. They're not doing well.
On that note,
what they are doing is actually bad.
On that note,
So my people, that is it. I hope you guys heard everything that he said here. So according to him, he said, regardless of what anybody is saying, that Peter Obi is in the opposition coalition, right? That there's no way Peter Obi will go back to PDP, because people are now saying that Peter Obi will return to PDP and run as a presidential candidate under the party, which I believe that Peter Obi will not do that. And I kind of surprised that some of the obedience are even encouraging Peter Obi to go back to PDP, knowing fully well that PK is still in PDP, and most of the governors in PDP, they are now APC members, right? So Tinubu is the owner of PDP right now. So we are still waiting to see how everything is going to unfold. But I believe that ADC will do the needful by giving Peter Obi the presidential ticket, right? Because it is the turn of the South. Yeah. So I would love you guys to leave your thoughts in the comment section about everything that he said here, because through comment, we all learn as well. And also subscribe if you haven't shared the video, give it a like, and I will see you guys in my next update. Goodbye for now.
Welcome to Chamber Seniors TV. Call of it.